system. So we have, even right there...
What's his name?
This is an emergency transmission from FEMA Region 6 in occupied North America.
There is a war. It's happening now. It will decide the fate of humanity. The time to choose sides has come. We are the resistance. We are the InfoWar. When we come back, we've got it up on Infowars.com right now. This is a big story because South by Southwest Conference is put on by a man named Lewis Black for the last 30 years, who is a total gun banner, a total globalist, a total authoritarian fake leftist who's waged petty war against the First Amendment here in town for a long time. He tried to have the police arrest our reporters last year, handing out free copies of InfoWars magazine. He has now teamed up with Mayor Bloomberg and the Mayor Organization to put on anti-gun symposiums throughout South by Southwest, one of the biggest media and film and music interactives in the world. In its 30 years, it's grown to be one of the largest in the world, mainly exploiting people in a dying media market who want jobs in the establishment. And so people come here spending a third of their year's salary in some cases, attempting, again, to find the Holy Grail when the Holy Grail isn't even anywhere near this area. There are some good films to see. You can go hear some interesting people speak, but you could always just watch it online later anyways. But it's just a giant, trendy event, and we're going to discuss how pathetic it is coming up here today. And by the way, it's not that I'm not invited to the party. I've spoken at big South by Southwest events, been on a bunch of different TV channels here, had films premiere that I'm in at South by Southwest. When they request me to come speak at South by Southwest, I just say, go jump in a river. So let's make it clear, I'm not bitching about South by Southwest because I'm not invited to it. I will not be part of an anti-liberty, anti-gun, anti-sovereignty scam. I will not invest in prison corporations, even though 15 years ago I said invest in them. They'll triple in profit if you're immoral. I will not invest in the private run-for-profit Federal Reserve or its member banks. I would not invest in Bitcoin. And I'm saying, look, you want to ride a bubble up and ride it down, go ahead. Now it's got government agents connected to it, inventing it. I mean, the whole thing stinks. I follow my gut. My gut. And I'm not saying I'm the most perfect person on earth, but I do have a moral compass. And I just will not be part of South by Southwest other than waging war against its anti-human exploitation of the trendies. The globalists have controlled the mainstream media for a long time, but now they're expanding, making the weaponization even more vicious and deceptive. All the major networks are state-run.
We are partnering this year with the NFL.
The NFL has become a political weapon against the Second Amendment and pushes Obamacare. MSNBC tells us that our children belong to the state.
We have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
The brainwashing media machine has been turned up on high, and it's time for humanity to double down on the true people's media and strike back against the tyrants that are destroying our civilization with their lies and fraud. We are the resistance. You are the resistance. You are the InfoWar. It is more important than ever to realize that we are not the alternative media. We are the true media. The establishment dinosaur press is dying.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
Join us at InfoWarsNews.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. Members can share their memberships with up to 11 people. By subscribing, you will literally be buying war bonds in the InfoWar to expand our operation in the face of the tyrants. Join us at PrisonPlanet.tv. Speaking of Austin, Texas, we have these articles up on PrisonPlanet.com and Infowars.com if you'd like to see the video clips and the photos of this shameful activity on so many fronts. The headline is South by Southwest anti-gun event fails. Lack of attendance at South by Southwest event proves the popularity of basic human freedoms. South by Southwest, run by a man named Lewis Black, that is his pen name, has always been anti-free speech, always been anti-gun, always been anti-family, basically authoritarian, masquerading as bearded trendies. And now this year they have sworn themselves to victim disarmament. And Mayor Bloomberg, with his hundreds of millions that he's already spent, has sent in the mayors against illegal guns and Moms Demand Action. And they've put on multiple South by Southwest events that the London Guardian and others have given lapdog, just sycophantic praise to, calling for banning civilian ownership of firearms, banning the transfer of firearms, banning all semi-automatic firearms. And mayors have quit the group and gone public and actually released the documents the last few months. That's linked in Infowars.com article, South by Southwest anti-gun event fails. You can read it there. And also video from the New York State House where they showed the documents. The plan is to register all guns and then confiscate. And the mayor pro tem in Austin, there's video of that as well, saying, once we register, we will confiscate. So they're also very disingenuous. Now, last week we broke the story, and it got picked up nationally, that the Bloomberg money's having an effect. Facebook, headed up by Zuckerberg, who called his users dumb effers because they trust him, they are censoring pro-gun talk, pro-gun memes, pro-gun promotion, pro-Second Amendment promotion, and it's spreading across the web. And they had a meeting bragging how they are censoring free speech. We had a free speech issue last year in March of my magazine. We handed out 10,000 free copies down on 2nd Street. And they had the police come and threaten to arrest us, saying no free speech in Austin, until I threatened to sue the police. And they said, sorry, we were ordered to by our Lord and Savior's, as Jamie Foxx calls him, Barack Obama's minion, South by Southwest, run by the Austin Chronicle, and Lewis Black. So it's an ongoing attack on free speech. But when we had 1,500 plus people a few months ago with the land commissioner, Jerry Patterson, down at the Alamo doing a rally for open carry in defiance of the city law that's unconstitutional, the police did stand down, by the way. When we were doing all of that, he basically, the police chief did the right thing and backed off. They had 3 people from Moms Demand Action there. They had 3 people from Moms Demand Action. They were given BBC, Al Jazeera, CNN coverage. CNN would show close shots to not show there wasn't a crowd there, or would show our crowd with them standing in front of it and claim that that crowd was theirs. They threatened us, threatened to physically attack us. This is all on video on Infowars.com in the South by Southwest anti-gun event fails article. So the London Guardian reported on this, and we have their photos up there and our own video showing literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 media people in attendance in a giant auditorium for 5 anti-gunners on the stage to spew their victim disarmament. And here's the message of what I'm putting out. CNN, MSNBC are literally falling apart, going bankrupt, belly up, 300,000, 400,000 viewers. That is joke level. This Sunday show has 2 million listeners. My weekday show has 3 million. Much of talk radio has 10 million listeners a day, some of the bigger shows out there like Limbaugh. These people are a joke, but they always sit up there in the hoax like they culturally control everything. Just like the Attorney General said, we've got to literally brainwash the public with the media against guns. They literally want us as their prey to be disarmed. That is the conscious idea of Dianne Feinstein, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Michael Moore. All of them have bodyguards, their own guns, they're into guns. It is a criminal instinct to disarm your political enemies. As Mao Zedong said, all power, political power, grows out of the barrel of a gun. So they're having these events, but Anthony Gucciardi, our reporter, is coming up to talk about this, and he's doing some video interviews that are going to be airing later in the week on the Nightly News. Talking to trendies at South by Southwest, almost none of them are anti-gun. Almost none of them are pro-Obama or pro-Republican Party. They've totally woken up. Look at Congress with a 6% approval rating. It was 10% a year ago. What I'm saying is there's a total collapse of confidence in the system. But still, the mainstream media creates this illusion that Moms Against Gun Violence and Moms Demand Action and Million Mom March is really the 5 Mom March or the 5 Democratic Party operative control freak march. It is all a giant hoax. Just like South by Southwest is a hoax, where if somebody wants to start their own media, go out and make your own film, go out and make your own music, go out and make your own website. You're not going to learn anything at something like South by Southwest you couldn't learn online. Why pay thousands of dollars for the stupid badges? And again, I don't have sour grapes. I've spoken at South by Southwest, been at movie premieres I'm in South by Southwest, get invited every year to South by Southwest. And I just said a few years ago when they started censoring free speech, I'm boycotting South by Southwest, other than invading the big media conference to expose what a fraud it is. We're going to be doing this all week on the weekday radio show with myself and the crew and the reporters. And I'm told there's going to be an open carry march Thursday or Friday. We don't have the day yet, from the different Texas groups to counter all 5 of the Bloomberg people giving the big silver platter presentation here for the media. So we're going to crash their event as well, totally take that over with open carry to show the general public that guns aren't dirty. Everybody should take photos of themselves with their guns, put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter, put out your own memes, do your own YouTube videos, crash the enemy platforms of Facebook, the enemy platforms of YouTube and Google, crash South by Southwest with the First Amendment, crash it with open carry, crash it with liberty, and show them who the real liberals are in the vein of Thomas Jefferson, not the fake cultural authoritarians who want to dominate everyone and spew race baiting and race division, selling their socialist agenda for mega banks offshore that are tax exempt, that want to destroy their competition, the free market. Do you understand that, ladies and gentlemen? This is what we're talking about. This is what we're dealing with, and we're about to go to break, but David Knight's got a lot coming up as well today from the InfoWars Command Center in Central Texas. The way the system labels everything and creates these illusions, the illusion that everyone wants to turn their guns in, when polls show almost 80% are now against it, and the forces of pro-gun, pro-survival, pro-self-defense are growing. Abortion is becoming more unpopular. Upwards of 70% are against it, flipping numbers from Roe v. Wade in 1973. On so many fronts, people don't trust the government. They don't trust the system anymore. I had the Austin police chief in just a few weeks ago, and he said, no, never before has government been so unpopular and so untrusted. And police tend to be where the rubber meets the road and get the blame for it, when they're not even involved in the policy of setting and dictating how police behave and what their mission is. And so you're going to see the establishment act more arrogant, more controlling, as if they are imperious and they have all the power and they have all the answers. And this is so well illustrated by one of the biggest media, tech, music conferences in the world, South by Southwest, financed at many levels by taxpayers, in the middle of Austin, Texas, with trendies from Japan to England, from Canada to Mexico, all over the world, traveling here, trying to get a job, trying to get noticed, trying to have an effect, trying to be part of a Hollywood scene that's already imploding and falling apart itself worldwide. True media, true independent journalism, true independent filmmaking is already supplanting the system. And people are more desperate than ever running to the system trying to get fulfillment. If you go to Infowars.com, you can see the story. South by Southwest anti-gun event fails. And they're having all these anti-gun events, and no one's showing up and no one's supporting it. And there are no real moms there. There are no real people against guns there. It's all financed, hardcore, Michael Bloomberg financed victim disarmament crews. Bloomberg has like 15 armed bodyguards when he was mayor. I've seen him on TV just a few weeks ago, a live feed in New York. He had like 6 bodyguards with him, packing heat. But he doesn't want you to be armed. These are usurpers dominating you. These are people who literally have a will to control you in your life, and it's outrageous. It's not liberal to try to disarm people. It's not liberal to race bait all day and say you're racist if you don't support Obamacare, or you're racist if you don't turn your guns in. That's the new talking points. These are people manipulating us who sit there with the fake moral authority and condescend all day telling us what to do. And that's the point I keep hammering and hammering and hammering and hammering. is it's time to reject these voices. It's time to realize what jokes they are and to realize how they're using peer pressure to control us. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I'm no fan of some of the stuff Vladimir Putin does or what goes on in Russia, but Russia's not expanding. Russia's not trying to flex its muscle. Russia isn't trying to manipulate my politics domestically to take my guns or to raise my taxes. The globalists are the ones too big to fail, stealing tens of trillions of taxpayer money. Warren Buffett and all the rest of them, the biggest recipients of bailout money. He's the one financing gun control as well. Of course you want to disarm who you're robbing. Of course you want to disarm who you've politically taken control of fraudulently to secure your ill-gotten political gains. We are being usurped. We are being conquered. Authoritarianism is taking over at every level because it's illegitimate, because the government has a 6% approval rating. And I'm sick of people, nothing against people with beards, but you know what I mean, beatniks, old pot-bellied fake hippies that literally are worth tens of millions of dollars, like Lewis Black, who owns South by Southwest, lecturing everyone about raising their taxes, lecturing everyone about turning your guns in, lecturing everyone about how families aren't good and the state owns your kids and how inoculation is the law and how Planned Parenthood's so good. All of this is authoritarianism, and they're consciously authoritarian. They're not environmentalist wackos. Obama's not some, old bozo idiot with Obamacare. They are hardcore political assassins, usurping in a piratical way society and civilization. They know what they're doing. They know the systems they're setting up. They understand it. They know it. And it's time for everybody, when someone tries to tell you with political correctness what to think, what to wear, how to act, that you're not a liberal, you're not a trendy, you're a control freak part of a cult. Quit telling me what to do. And the same thing goes for the Republican Party blue bloods at CPAC, trying to stop libertarian and constitutional ideas. The Republicans are part of the same power structure as the Democratic leadership, trying to suppress the American people. And it's time for Democrats and Republicans who want populism and common sense to come together and say, we want the whole Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, the free speech, the Second Amendment, the right to defense. We want the Fourth Amendment, the right to be secure in our papers' effects and not be spied on by the NSA and not drive into checkpoints. The Fifth Amendment, to not have to self-incriminate and answer government questions. Right through the Sixth and the Seventh, to not have troops quartered in our homes and have access to lawyers. And right through the Ninth, that all the things listed in this Bill of Rights aren't all of our rights. We have all these other rights as well. And the 10th Amendment, you're supposed to have a federal and state government so you don't have a centralization of control, just like the president's becoming dictatorial. We're going into a crisis. We're being taken over by unscrupulous globalist organizations that are totally and completely bloodthirsty and are ruthless. The people running our government all over the world would rather put dictatorships in and oligarchies in than free nations. I mean, they're trying to overthrow Ukraine, the West, and George Soros, to put in authoritarianism, not put in freedom. And then the Russians come in and take over an area that has their military bases and their gas lines. It's mainly Russian, and the media calls it an invasion, and now the Ukrainian troops are massing for a war with Russia. All of this started by Hillary Clinton and the rest of the globalists. These are not liberals. They use the little old lady thing, oh, I'm a trendy, oh, I'm a hippie, oh, I want to stop racism, as their cover. They're hardcore master villains, ladies and gentlemen. And you've got to understand that. The Democratic Party is the cutting edge of the New World Order. And as society collapses and as things unravel, remember you judge a tree by its fruits, as Christ said. The fruits of trendy socialism and collectivism and progressivism is the fruits of slavery, the fruits of bondage, the fruits of tyranny, the fruits of being slaves. Look at where we're going. It isn't good. Now, coming up, we've got the newscast in Detroit where the police chief says, arm yourselves. And the head of Interpol says, arm yourselves. That lowers crime. Good things are happening.
You are watching the best of The Alex Jones Show, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. Watch live at Infowars.com/show or become a member of InfoWarsNews.com and help us take resistance to the next level.